And welcome to the Power Chat series for the Battle of Atlanta post show. There's still a lot of buzz and chatter about it. So we're going to pick up right where we left off there with our guest, Corina Balan. Corina, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So, Corina, you won the Power Ring, the Point Fighter Live Power Ring, also overall grand championships for women. Tell me more about, in reflection, how the tournament went for you.
Honestly, I was just pumped the entire weekend. It's the first not the first, but I kind of like real event that I get to spend with the team like for the entirety of the event. Like when I had first got on straight up, two tournaments later COVID hit. So I kind of spent 3 years like not being able to train, let alone compete. So I couldn't really get to experience that feeling with the team, and that's what I got to feel the entire weekend. So starting with Friday evening, there was open weight. In the open weight division, I did okay, but then came short against Jimena and finished third in open. And then in teams, we lost to Revolution. But then the next day, it was kind of starting from scratch in my division. I didn't really have a set plan in mind, but I did picture myself on stage while I was training, and it was just fun to see that like vision come to life the more I advanced in each of those fights. So I really had a blast the entire weekend.
And it was a close match for your finals.
Yeah.
It was down to the wire. Tell me more about that fight against Katarina.
Yeah, so we had a game plan going into the fight. So I know that, and it's very obvious to see that there is a bit of like just this much of a height difference between her and I, and everyone knows about her leg as well. So there was a game plan in mind. I had spoken to a bunch of people. I had spoken to Bailey, to Brandon. I had spoken to Jeremy at home. I had spoken to a couple of people about it, and just going into it, we knew that it was 2 rounds. Bailey was fantastic to have behind me during those 2 rounds. I was down by 3 the first round, and he looked at me. He was like, "Plan's going perfectly," and I was like, "Okay, that sounds great to me." But it was really just about being patient. I have a tendency sometimes to not panic, but just like when I'm down to want to like run after points, and that's when I make mistakes, and you kind of can't come back afterwards. So it was really about being patient, using the ring as much as I could, using the space as much as I could. And when it came down to that wire, to that sudden, I had rewatched the fight, sudden victory, sudden death. I don't know, that sudden like first point wins. Um, I don't know, like I didn't feel like panicking. Like it just felt like this, we're going into it and we're just gonna get that extra point that we need. And it all came together really, really nicely. And I was just really pumped for the entirety of the weekend.
I was just gonna say the word pumped because I saw your Instagram like recap of it, and you could just kind of feel the excitement and the energy coming off from the stage. Now, some of when you mentioned a little bit earlier, you had COVID hit, right? You got on straight up prior to that, but for anyone who doesn't know, you're from Canada, and
Yeah.
so competitors from Canada in particularly took longer for you to come back to the circuit because of those barriers. Tell me more about re-entering and what's that been like.
On Personally, I think it was just a reset, and just trying to think about it from the point of view, like I myself was I still get nervous, but I was very nervous prior to COVID as well. And sometimes it just wasn't fun to be that, like to feel that way before fighting. And I don't know, I feel like since then it's really just been more about enjoying the sport as much as we can, because it can just get taken away for like X amount of time without us really knowing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so for sure at the beginning, I think it was a slow start, because we weren't able to compete, but we also weren't allowed to train together. We couldn't go to our like respective gyms or schools. We had to do Zoom classes for longer, because I know that in some parts of the states that was the case as well, where like Zoom really became a thing. But it did last longer in Canada. And just coming back to tournaments, um, it was hard at first not to be too hard on myself, just to remind myself, like, you are starting from, like, you are a bit behind, so you need to catch up on
Mm-hmm.
that, but also not be too hard on yourself if ever it doesn't go exactly the way you planned.
Okay, so how deep was the competition at the Battle of Atlanta
What do
across
you
the
mean
board?
by
Meaning, how many people for open weight for both kind of the men and women's division? I
Oh,
remember pre-COVID, be like 40, 45, 50 people in the men's division for open weight.
yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah, so it was about similar. I was told, so for the men's division, I think they were around 50. I do know that last year they were hitting more like the 70s. So like regardless, it's a big number to have. And
Mhm.
in the women, we were half of that. So we were about 24, 25 in the open weight division.
Okay.
And then in the respective weight classes, it goes around that. Like in the two lightweight divisions, we were around 10. And then
Mhm.
in the light, middle, and middleweight, it stayed around like between 5 and 10 participants too. So I like honestly for the women, the divisions were pretty stacked, and that's what made it all the more fun. I feel like tournaments like Ocean State and then coming into battle, it's really nice to see more and more women in the different divisions.
Okay. Now, in terms of how the tournament ran from your perspective, just kind of give like some feedback as a competitor for battle.
Yeah, I had a blast with regards to the battle. I think feedback wise, I know in our ring respectively for Friday, I didn't see as much of it on Saturday, but I know for Friday, we did have some issues with like the system itself,
Mhm.
with regards to like technical difficulties, things that you would see, but it's
Mhm.
just that we had to see them in our ring, so it did delay it a little bit. But other than that, in terms of how the venue, I love the venue. It was my first time competing at battle. I had always heard great things about it from Jeremy and from his dad, saying like it's the like they would put it like they would really hype you up for it. They were like, it's the one, not the one, but it's like the tournament for fighters, like on the NASCAR circuit. So I was really excited about it, and it didn't disappoint in that sense. So I think it was run beautifully. Like I said, some technical issues with regards to like the platform itself, but other than that, like the divisions were full. Everything else, I had a great time with.
Who did you fight with for teams?
For teams, I fought with Jasmine.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool,
yeah, yeah. So
great.
we fought against Revolution, so Jimena and Peyton,
Mhm.
and we came short by I think it was just like 2 points. Like we came a little short, but we know how to adjust, and the game plan was good. But just it's just better like next time.
Yeah, exactly. All
Yeah.
right. And now, you had Bailey coaching you. Is that has he coached you in the past before, or what was that like?
He had coached me, I think, once before, but it was pre-COVID when I had just
Oh.
started out on the team. And if not, like he's been on the sidelines while I had someone else coaching me, whether that be Mr. G or Jeremy or
Mhm.
whoever, or my own coach at home,
Mhm.
Pierre. But yeah, no, he's. I really had a great time on stage. So during the day, it was mostly Mr. G who coached me, and then on stage it was Bailey. And I just found like he has that confidence that just kind of flows through you. Like you know that he trusts what you're doing, so you trust what you're doing. And it just
Mhm.
felt really, really nice. So yeah, I had a great time being coached by him.
Okay, all right, great. And I mean, you've really, dominated as you enter the not enter, but in your time in the women's division. How would you say, it's been going overall, kind of high level, not just Battle of Atlanta?
Overall, I think it's been going good. Like I said, I'm just getting started out of COVID. So with Ocean State, and then as much as possible, we do the tournaments that can be done by car. So for example, King and Queen of New York, KTOC. So we do those as well. I think it's been doing good. I'm looking to have that consistency when I fight,
Mhm.
and not to have like a good performance and then a so-so performance and then come back to a good performance later. I really want to try to be consistent with the way that I fight. So that's something that I'm trying to achieve. But overall, I think I've just been having fun doing it, and it's been doing really good.
Okay, well, I mean, I also see everything that you're doing on Instagram as well. It seems like you have your own also just like life and social, like your
Yeah.
own life outside of martial arts. But what does training look like for you on a weekly basis?
So to me, it looks like anywhere I can fit it in. So I do kind of like you said, like I have my own little life going around. So I'm still in school. I'm still in school doing my MBA. I still teach at Kick, so at my original school. So I train, I like to say anywhere between 3 to 4 times a week. And then I try as much as possible to go running 2, 3 times a week as well. I started doing that a couple of months ago, and I've seen a big difference in just the way that I train and just my stamina in general and how I feel. So that's namely what it looks like, whether it's, and in that training, I count just like regular karate classes, just because if you do those at 100%, it's training to me. And if I can fit some drills in the meantime with Jeremy, then we'll do that as well. But that's in bulk, that's what it looks like, really.
Do you find that did you find that the running helped you get to that final point at all at battle, or
Yeah,
what in terms
yeah.
of
I
endurance?
don't like. I do think it made a difference, especially with the idea of 2 2-minute rounds. So I do think that it would have made a difference had I not decided to
Right.
start that a couple of months ago in preparation for battle.
Okay, awesome. What is your next tournament coming up on your agenda?
It's I most likely it'll be Capital Classics, beginning of August.
Okay, so no U.S. Open.
No, no US Open, unfortunately. But yeah, until then, it'll just be like enjoying the sport, training as much as I can, and getting ready for Capital.
Okay, great. And then, this was your first time at the Battle of Atlanta,
Yeah.
right? Okay, is this an event that you foresee yourself coming back to? And overall, if so, what is it the main thing that would bring you back?
Honestly, there's no like, I don't think there's anything that would keep me from coming back. I'd be really happy to go back again next year. I had an overall blast. So there's no like specific condition or want or
Mhm.
in that sense. I'd just really be happy to go back next year.
Awesome. Sounds like it was a good experience.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I had a pleasure chatting with you, Corina, and chatting about the Battle of Atlanta. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, or that anybody that you wanted to shout out?
I mean, honestly, anyone who helps me on a daily basis, whether it's my coach Fierce Canzano, whether it's Jeremy, whether it's the team, whether it's Mr. G. Like I know that we're all not all, but I know that like being from Canada, there's a couple of us who are from Canada now, and it can seem far, but I saw this weekend that we really have a nice chemistry. So honestly, anyone who helps me out, just thank you in general, and I had fun talking to you too.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching the Power Chat series, the Battle of Atlanta post show. Coming up later this week, we have some pre shows, post shows, a lot going on this season. So stay tuned with all of these great competitors and hear their stories. All right. Have a great night, everybody. Okay.